saying? If you went to heaven and they was playing that song, you know it's finna be a party in heaven. You just walk in heaven.
Fame can change lives overnight. One hit role, one big show, and suddenly an actor has money, fans, and endless opportunities. But in Hollywood, talent alone is not enough. One bad decision, one public mistake, or one wrong attitude can destroy everything just as fast. Here are the 11 black actors who had massive success but made choices that shocked fans and cost them their careers. 1. Isaiah Washington.
And I'm walking away, I don't know where I'm going, but I know where I come from.
Our first entry takes us back to one of television's biggest hits. Isaiah Washington was riding high as Dr. Preston Burke on Grey's Anatomy, one of the most popular medical dramas in television history. He was a series regular, earning a solid income, and had millions of fans watching him every week. Everything was going perfectly until one incident destroyed it all. In 2006, during an on-set argument, Washington used a homophobic slur directed at his co-star, T.R. Knight. The incident was initially handled privately, but Washington made things exponentially worse at the 2007 Golden Globes. While backstage in the press room, he repeated the slur while denying he ever said it. The moment was captured on camera and spread like wildfire. ABC and the show's producers had no choice but to act. Despite issuing public apologies and entering counseling, Washington was fired from Grey's Anatomy in 2007. His career never recovered to those heights. While he did land a role on the 100 Years Later and has worked steadily in smaller projects, he went from being on one of television's most watched shows to struggling for relevant roles. The entertainment industry has a long memory, and Washington's actions cost him not just his job, but his reputation. He had the talent and the platform, but one moment of anger and poor judgment, followed by an even worse decision to repeat the offensive language publicly, ended his time on a show that made stars out of most of its cast members. Several of his former co-stars went on to have massive careers while Washington watched from the sidelines. 2. Orlando Brown.
Stop trying to make me look unsmart.
Growing up, millions of kids watched Orlando Brown make them laugh on That's So Raven. He was one of Disney Channel's most recognizable faces, playing the hilarious Eddie Thomas alongside Raven-Symoné. Child stardom gave him fame and fortune early, but Brown's story became a tragic example of how drug addiction can destroy everything. Brown's troubles started becoming public in the early 2000s. He was arrested multiple times for domestic battery, drug possession, and resisting arrest. But the arrests were just the beginning of his very public downward spiral. His behavior became increasingly erratic, with bizarre social media posts and strange interviews that worried fans and colleagues alike. In various interviews, Brown made outlandish claims, including saying he was the father of celebrity children and making inappropriate comments about various celebrities. His appearance changed dramatically, and it was clear he was struggling with serious substance abuse issues. Videos of him surfaced online showing him in concerning situations, and his former co-stars publicly expressed their worry for him. Brown has been in and out of rehabilitation facilities and has had multiple arrests over the years. While he's attempted several comebacks and has claimed to be sober at various times, his reputation in Hollywood is essentially destroyed. No major network or studio wants to take a chance on someone with such unpredictable behavior and a long history of legal troubles. He went from being a beloved Disney star with a bright future to being someone the industry actively avoids. His talent is undeniable, but his choices and addiction issues made him unemployable in mainstream entertainment. 3. Terrence Howard.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Then why'd you talk?
Terrence Howard had everything going for him. He was nominated for an Academy Award for his role in Hustle and Flow, starred in major films like Crash, and was the original James Rhodey Rhodes in the first Iron Man movie. He was set to be part of one of the biggest franchises in film history. Then he threw it all away, over money and bizarre behavior. After the massive success of Iron Man, Marvel wanted Howard back for the sequel, but at a significantly reduced salary. Howard had been the highest-paid actor in the first film, earning more than Robert Downey Jr. When Marvel offered him less money for the sequel, Howard refused and started bad-mouthing the studio and his co-stars. He was replaced by Don Cheadle, who has played War Machine ever since. But losing Iron Man was just the beginning of Howard's problems. He's been arrested multiple times for domestic violence incidents involving different partners. He's also made claims that he has trouble getting work because of Robert Downey Jr., though industry insiders say it's his reputation for being difficult on set and his legal troubles that keep him from major roles. Howard has also become known for his strange beliefs about mathematics, claiming he's developed a new system called Teriology, where he insists that 1 times 1 equals 2, not 1. He's given interviews discussing these theories, which have only made Hollywood executives more hesitant to work with him. He had a successful run on the show Empire, but even that couldn't fully rehabilitate his image. Howard went from Oscar nominee and Marvel star to a cautionary tale about burning bridges and reputation. 4. Charlie Murphy.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm an equal opportunity employer.
Wait, before we continue, make sure you're subscribed. We're only on number 4, and there's so much more to cover. Charlie Murphy had finally made it. After years in his famous brother Eddie Murphy's shadow, Charlie found his own spotlight through his hilarious True Hollywood Stories segments on Chappelle's Show. His stories about Rick James and Prince became cultural phenomena, and suddenly everyone wanted to work with him. He was getting comedy specials, movie roles, and voice acting work. Then he made choices that stalled his momentum. Unlike some others on this list, Murphy's career issues weren't about crime or scandal, but rather about burning professional bridges and reputation. Murphy developed a reputation in Hollywood for being extremely difficult to work with on set. He would frequently clash with directors and producers, insisting that things be done his way. Multiple production members from different projects have spoken about his challenging attitude. Murphy also made the mistake of publicly criticizing Dave Chappelle after Chappelle walked away from his show and a $50 million contract. While many in the industry understood Chappelle's decision to prioritize his mental health, Murphy was vocal about disagreeing with that choice. This didn't sit well with many in the comedy world who respected Chappelle's decision. Additionally, Murphy turned down several promising opportunities because he felt the money wasn't right or the role wasn't big enough, waiting for that one major breakout role that would make him as big as his brother. That role never came, and the opportunities dried up. By the time he realized his mistake, Hollywood had moved on. He passed away in 2017 from leukemia, but before his death, he had acknowledged in interviews that he wished he'd been easier to work with and more grateful for the opportunities he did have. 5. Stacey Dash.
I cannot wait to help my people out. Happy Black History Month.
Stacey Dash was America's sweetheart in the 90s. Her role as Dionne in Clueless made her a household name, and she successfully transitioned that into a television series based on the movie. She had the looks, the talent, and the fan base. Everything was set up for a long, successful career. Then she made a series of political statements that alienated almost everyone. Dash became a vocal political commentator, which isn't inherently career-ending. However, her comments were often controversial and seemed designed to provoke rather than engage in meaningful dialogue. She made statements that many in the Black community found offensive, including suggesting that Black History Month should be eliminated and that there shouldn't be BET or the NAACP Image Awards. She joined Fox News as a contributor, which further distanced her from the Hollywood community that had supported her career. Her social media presence became increasingly combative, and she would regularly attack people who disagreed with her views. Studios and networks didn't want the controversy that came with casting her. Dash attempted to run for Congress in 2018, but withdrew before the primary. She later admitted she had been angry and that her behavior during those years wasn't healthy. She apologized for her divisive rhetoric in 2021, acknowledging she had alienated people and burned bridges. However, by that point, the damage was done. She went from being a beloved actress with steady work to someone the industry actively avoids. Her political views weren't the only issue. It was the way she expressed them and her willingness to insult and demean anyone who disagreed with her that made her unemployable. 6. Michael Jai White.
Angry mind is a narrow one. Calm.
Michael Jai White should have been one of the biggest action stars in Hollywood. He's a legitimate martial artist with black belts in multiple disciplines. He has the physique, the screen presence, and he was the first black actor to portray a major comic book superhero in a theatrical release when he played Spawn in 1997. So why isn't he a household name today? White's career problems stem largely from his own choices regarding which projects to accept and his reputation for being extremely particular on set. After Spawn received mixed reviews, White had opportunities to star in other big-budget action films. However, he turned down multiple roles because he felt they didn't showcase his martial arts abilities properly or weren't serious enough for his taste. In numerous interviews, directors and producers have mentioned that White is incredibly talented but also very difficult to please. He wants complete control over fight choreography and often clashes with stunt coordinators and directors about how scenes should be filmed. While his dedication to authentic martial arts is admirable, it has made him develop a reputation as someone who was too much trouble for the payoff. White also made the mistake of criticizing other martial arts actors in Hollywood, including Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme, in very public ways. While he may have been correct in his assessments of their skills, publicly insulting other actors in your genre doesn't win you friends or opportunities. The industry is small and people talk. Instead of becoming an A-list action star, White ended up doing mostly direct-to-video movies and smaller projects. He's talented enough to have been in the same conversation as Jet Li or Jason Statham, but his own decisions about projects and his reputation for being difficult kept him from reaching those heights. He's acknowledged in recent years that he probably should have been more flexible early in his career. 7. Monique Way.
You ever call me Big Mama again, you're gonna get a Big Mama beatdown.
If you're enjoying this video, hit that like button and drop a comment about which actor's story surprised you the most. Monique was on top of the world. She had won an Academy Award for her powerful performance in Precious, received a standing ovation, and had just delivered one of the most acclaimed performances of the year. She should have been able to write her own ticket in Hollywood. Instead, she's been essentially blacklisted, and she admits it's partly her own fault. After winning the Oscar, Monique refused to do an unpaid promotion for Precious beyond what was contractually required. She wouldn't attend international film festivals or do additional press junkets without being compensated. While she had a valid point about being paid for her work, her approach rubbed producers and studio executives the wrong way. In Hollywood, playing the game and doing extra promotion is often expected, especially when you've just won an Oscar. Things got worse when Monique publicly called out Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels, accusing them of blackballing her in the industry. Whether her accusations were true or not, publicly attacking 3 of the most powerful black entertainers in Hollywood was career suicide. She gave interviews, posted on social media, and wouldn't let it go, which made her seem difficult and unprofessional to other potential employers. Netflix offered her a comedy special deal, but she felt the money was too low compared to what white comedians were receiving. She sued Netflix for discrimination, and while she eventually settled, the lawsuit and public battle further damaged her reputation in the industry. Monique was right about many things regarding pay inequality and how black actresses are treated, but her methods of addressing these issues made her virtually unemployable. She went from Oscar winner to persona non grata because she couldn't pick her battles wisely. 8. Shia LaBeouf. Hold on, you might be thinking, Shia LaBeouf isn't black. You're absolutely right. And this entry was an intentional error to see if you're paying attention. Let's continue with our list. 8. Columbus Short.
Congratulations. Why didn't you tell me you pledged?
Maybe I wanted to surprise you.
Columbus Short had a dream career trajectory. He was a talented dancer, actor, and choreographer who worked with major artists and landed significant film roles. His biggest break came when he was cast as Harrison Wright on the hit ABC series Scandal. The show was a ratings powerhouse, and Short was part of the main cast. Then everything fell apart due to his own actions. Short's problems started with domestic violence allegations from his wife, but instead of handling the situation privately and professionally, Short's behavior became increasingly erratic. He was arrested multiple times for different incidents, including hitting a man at a restaurant and domestic violence charges involving multiple women. On the set of Scandal, Short's behavior became problematic. There were reports of him showing up late, being unprofessional, and his personal life affecting his work. In 2014, show creator Shonda Rhimes had had enough and fired him from the show. His character was killed off, and Short publicly admitted that his behavior had been the cause of his termination. After Scandal, Short's legal troubles continued. He violated restraining orders, failed to pay child support, and was arrested multiple times. His public statements about his former co-stars and the show also didn't help his reputation. He's given interviews claiming he was addicted to various substances during his time on Scandal, and that he's now sober, but the damage to his career is irreversible. Short went from being on one of television's biggest shows with a steady paycheck and growing fan base to being someone no major network or studio will touch. He's appeared in a few low-budget films, but his career as a working actor in Hollywood is essentially over. He had the talent and opportunity, but let addiction and violence destroy everything he'd worked for. 9. Aries Spears.
And I guess Quavo didn't understand what T.I. was asking him, and Quavo said, "Man, why you gonna quit me like that?"
Aries Spears should have been one of the biggest comedians in America. He was a regular cast member on Mad TV for years, known for his incredible impressions and sharp comedy. He had the talent to be as big as Dave Chappelle or Kevin Hart, but his own actions and words kept him from reaching those heights. Spears developed a reputation for being extremely critical of other comedians, particularly successful ones. While constructive criticism is fine, Spears regularly went on podcasts and in interviews to trash other comedians' work, calling them untalented and accusing them of stealing jokes or not being real comedians. He's publicly feuded with Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, and many others. The problem wasn't just that he was critical, it's that he became known primarily for being negative rather than for his own comedy. When people thought of Aries Spears, they thought of him complaining about other comedians rather than his own work. This made him someone that many in the industry didn't want to work with or promote. Things reached a crisis point in 2022 when Spears was involved in a lawsuit regarding inappropriate content he had filmed years earlier with Tiffany Haddish involving a minor. The lawsuit was eventually dismissed, but the damage to his reputation was severe. Even before the lawsuit, his career had stalled because of his reputation for being negative and difficult. Spears is undeniably talented. His impressions are among the best in comedy, and when he focuses on his craft, he's excellent. But he spent too much time tearing others down instead of building himself up. He burned bridges with people who could have helped his career and made himself persona non grata in much of the comedy world. Now he does podcasts and small shows instead of having the major career his talent deserved. 10. Flex Alexander.
Now, hold on, man. You're supposed to be my boy, all right? I'm Flex Washington.
Remember Flex Alexander? In the early 2000s, he was everywhere. He had his own sitcom called One on One that ran for 5 successful seasons on UPN. He was charming, funny, and seemed destined for a long career in Hollywood. Then the show ended, and Flex essentially disappeared from mainstream entertainment due to his own career choices. After One on One concluded, Flex turned down multiple television opportunities because he wanted to be a movie star. He felt that continuing in sitcoms would typecast him, so he held out for film roles that would make him a leading man in movies. The problem was that those roles never materialized at the level he expected, and he wasn't willing to take smaller parts to build his film career gradually. Flex also developed a reputation for being difficult during negotiations. Multiple producers have mentioned that working out contracts with him was challenging because he had very specific ideas about what he would and wouldn't do, what he needed to be paid, and what his role needed to include. While it's good to know your worth, being too inflexible in Hollywood often means you price yourself out of opportunities. Additionally, Flex made some poor choices in the few film projects he did accept. He starred in several direct-to-video movies that didn't showcase his talents and actually hurt his brand. Instead of carefully selecting quality projects, he took quick paychecks in poorly made films that made executives less interested in casting him. By the time Flex realized he should have been more flexible and accepting of different opportunities, the industry had moved on. He went from having his own successful sitcom to barely working. He's had small roles here and there, but nothing close to the success he had with One on One. 11. Katt Williams.
If you ain't smoking weed because you got a good job, then by all means make your paper, boo-boo. But if you ain't got no job and you not smoking weed, I don't know what the f you are doing with your life.
Katt Williams is one of the most naturally talented comedians of his generation, with a style and delivery that's unique and captivating. He's had several successful comedy specials, memorable film roles, and was nominated for Emmy Awards. He should be mentioned in the same breath as the biggest comedians in the world. Instead, his career has been defined by his arrest record and erratic behavior. Williams has been arrested over 30 times for various offenses, including assault, child endangerment, battery, gun possession, and more. His legal troubles have been so frequent that it has become a joke in itself. Every few months, there seemed to be a new headline about Katt Williams getting arrested or being involved in some altercation. On stage, Williams is brilliant, but his personal life has been chaotic, and it's affected his professional opportunities. He's walked off stage during performances, gotten into fights with audience members, and canceled tours, leading to lawsuits from promoters and venues. His reputation for being unreliable made many venues hesitant to book him, even though his comedy sells tickets. Williams has also publicly feuded with numerous other comedians, including Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, and others. While some of his criticisms may have been valid, his delivery was often aggressive and personal, which made him seem bitter about other people's success rather than focused on his own career. The most frustrating part about Katt Williams' situation is that when he's focused and healthy, he's incredible. His stand-up specials show a comedian at the top of his craft. But his personal demons and legal issues have prevented him from reaching his full potential. He could have been one of the biggest and most respected comedians alive, but instead, his career has been a series of peaks and valleys, mostly of his own making. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more content about Hollywood's biggest stories. Drop a comment below telling me which story surprised you most, or if there are any actors you think should have been on this list.